Howdy, fellow Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment before the show starts to let you know about a great website called Texas Wine Lover. They can be found at txwinelover.com. And they have a comprehensive website that can become your go-to site for information on Texas wines, winemakers, and the wineries that can be found in this state. They even have a phone app that you can download, and that will help you plan your route to create your own wine trip. So make sure and check them out at txwinelover.com. Welcome to Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to the show. This is episode 5 for Texas Under Vine, and today we're venturing out on a back-in-time type of experience as we explore the infamous 290 Wine Castle just outside Johnson City. It's hard if you are traveling the Wine Road 290 to not see this really cool piece of architecture that is what's called the 290 Wine Castle. It is a family-based operation. I got to speak with Chelsea, and you'll hear my interview with her in a few minutes. Her father and her mother are the ones who own the 290 Wine Castle, Mike and Monique. Mike was busy doing all kinds of stuff when I was there, shoving pizzas in the oven and running around taking care of everything. Chelsea did inform me that her mother, Monique, was the winemaker. They do have an Irish background. Her father had always wanted to live in a castle and dreamed about castles and things like that. And so that was kind of the inspiration when they decided to make this really cool winery to do something just different from all of the other wineries out there. They wanted a location that people talked about, and that was definitely different from every other winery that you typically would go to. It is very visible. It's definitely an eye catcher from the road. You can't miss that castle when you go driving past it. Even if you don't know what a winery is, you're going to see it and go, what in the world is that castle doing there? They have a big iron wine glass sculpture right out front. So it is pretty obvious that it is the wine castle when you go to check it out. It's very well decorated. You get to walk up kind of a drawbridge as you go in the front door. They have inside all kinds of great furniture and outfitting. They've got a dragon inside sitting on the piano. They got suits of armor, medieval weapons, crossbows, beautiful Renaissance type paintings are hung around. There's kind of a downstairs area with the tasting room as well as an upstairs kind of not necessarily a balcony. It's almost like a split level, but you can take stairs upstairs to a kind of an area upstairs that looks out over the downstairs tasting room to be able to enjoy your wine as well, with beautiful furniture all around. And the cool thing is that they also have a rooftop access for their members, and they also have a dungeon down below where you can go drink your wine. And that's where I got to do my interview with Chelsea, and you'll hear more about that. But it's just really, I think, really cool the way they have embraced the theme and decorated it and really made it look very different and very thematic to the wine castle. They do have a selection from wines from a lot of locations, a lot of European wines, as well as some made on site. So they have a selection of wines that they bring in, but also wines that they are making themselves. The dungeon that I spoke of a while ago, their members can go down there. They will do some events and some tastings down there. One of the cool things they do is they can turn off the lights and turn on some black lights and do some kind of blind tastings where you don't really know exactly what you're getting by sight, and so you have to rely on your other senses, your smell and your taste and things like that to experience the wines. Very unique experience. And right during the month of October, for Halloween, they really decorate up that dungeon and make an escape room out of it. Chelsea talks a little bit more about that in the interview. It's kind of one of her projects. And so that's a really cool experience as well. Another cool thing that they've done is they've opened up a hotel right next door called the Bentley Hotel. Chelsea talks about it again in the interview, that the rooms are all kind of themed-based rooms, just like the castle's kind of thematic. Their rooms are all themed, and I'll let you hear from her about that. But it allows people to stay in that hotel and go visit the wine castle or go to other wineries in the area. So it's kind of like a full experience to stay in the hotel and visit the winery. Their members, wine club members, get a discount to stay there. They have really cool themed wine pickup parties for their wine club members. You can hear about that in the interview as well. It's just a really great place to experience an afternoon with wine in a very unique setting, especially if you're looking for something that's not quite your usual type of winery experience. So I had the privilege of going down into the dungeon and hanging out in the room with Chelsea. She gave me the rundown of the place and a tour through the castle. They store a lot of their wine downstairs in that dungeon since it does provide a cooler temperature. And I'm happy to say I survived my trip into the dungeon. Chelsea didn't torture me during my stay, as I was kind of worried, but she did have some things to say about the wine castle while we were down there. So let's hear a little bit from her. I'm here with Chelsea Chase at the 290 Wine Castle. And the first question is just tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into the wine industry?
So I didn't really have much of an option. So my family started a vineyard a couple of years, or 7 years ago. And so that was kind of my part-time job throughout college. It kept me out of trouble. And then they opened up this place. We just celebrated our 4th birthday, October 28th. So we're very happy. So I started here, and I don't know, just growing that wine knowledge, seeing how passionate my mom is about it, my sister, and that they have the taste for wine. And I don't want to pride myself on being a people person. I really enjoyed getting to interact with all different kinds of people and help them celebrate really fun moments. So that's kind of what kept me here, is like supporting my family, but then also it's a really good job.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about this location's history. How did it get started?
So 4 years ago, my dad was like, I think we can do it. I think we can have a vineyard. And I really want it to be something that catches everyone's attention. So he was like, I think a castle, it's a really good homage to the, background. He's very Irish. He hoped they lived in castles. They did not. They were potato farmers. So this was his dream, to build his own castle. And his father had a background in driving cars for vineyards back in California. So that kind of started the dream. My mom looked at him and was like, you're nuts, you're crazy. But she kind of got more into wine tasting element. She went and studied a little bit of viticulture. She was like, I think I can do this. And so they really built it together, where he was in charge of the facility. So he built the castle 4 years ago, and then she was in charge of the wine. So even before we built the castle, she was going and meeting families in Italy, in Spain, in France, to figure out what wine she wants and to figure out what would bring something unique to the hill country.
Awesome. And we're coming here from the actual dungeon of the castle. I'm hoping that I'm able to get out if you're alive, but a nice little wine room in here. So is there a story behind the name or the idea of the castle? I know you said you wanted something that was kind of going to catch people's eyes and the Irish background and all that, but I noticed that especially as I walked through, you've really embraced the theme. I mean, there's crossbows in here, there's suits of armor. What made you really embrace that theme and run with that?
I think whenever my family does something, they don't do it half-assed. So they're full-fledged into it. So my dad actually had crossbows and helmets at our house. He was kind of the odd collector. And so whenever we had the castle, it was more reason to get into those things, especially with the family tree and looking into our background. And so bringing those elements in. So our overarching name is Chateau de Chase. So we are the House of the Chases, which means we're the House of the Hunters. We're on the hunt for good wine, as my mom would say. And so 290 Wine Castle, to be perfectly honest, 290 shows up first in the directory. So they wanted a number. It's homage to the road we're on. And then we are a wine castle. We don't want to be confused with anything else. We have the giant wine glass in front because we want to be the wine castle. And we're the first one, so therefore we're the only one. No one can really do it again like the way we've done it. And so, we built everything with a purpose in mind. So even the dungeon, and digging in Texas ground is not easy. We immediately hit rock, and my dad was like, nope, we're going 9 feet under so we can have a proper dungeon. So 9 feet under is the dungeon, and it keeps it cool. So it's amazing for wine storage, but then it's also really fun to play with that element of cutting off your sense of sight when doing the tastings, and then just being able to stay cold in Texas.
Yeah. And I would think a place like this would be a little more socially appropriate to have crossbows and helmets than in your living room at home when people come over for dinner and things.
Yeah, a little less questions. Still a couple of, odd gazes. They wonder what all's in the castle, and we're like, oh, only appropriate things, we promise. Lots of helmets.
Right. Well, what type of wines do you have here?
We have a full range of wines. We want to be able to serve anyone because we know that the Texas Hill Country, a lot of people are new to wine. And so it doesn't matter whether or not you're a sweet drinker or a dry drinker. It matters that if you like it, you like it. So we want to serve something that you will enjoy. So we have a full range of sweets because I'm the sweet person. So we have red sweets and white sweets in the sparkling. And then from Italy to Spain, we have all of our bubbles, cavas, and proseccos. We have dry reds, we have sweet reds, we have all the whites. So pretty much anything you could want, we're going to have one of it. We really pride ourselves on excellent wines and the wines that were curated for the castle.
Do you make any of your own wines, or do you import everything?
We do make our own wines, so we do import quite a bit. We do Spanish, Italian, and French. That makes up about 40% of all of our wines. We do Texas, where we get a lot of grapes from the Lubbock area just because they have more of the growing power. They've been doing it a long time. But we do have a lot of aging going on in our barn. So we have some French neutral barrels right now, and then we have one wine in a stainless steel tank that we're aging that will hopefully be coming out in the next 3 years. And then we do aging down here in the dungeon, where we're aging things in bottles just so that, like, if it's a really high peppery wine, it can kind of smooth out.
So you process the wines that you do make yourself. You process those here on site. You mentioned a wine barn.
Yeah, so the barn is right next door, and that's our production barn. So it has a lot of our finished bottles, and it has a lot of our unfinished products that we're working on. We do also work with some other vineyards to bring in more different types because we don't want to be stuck with just one varietal of what we can grow. We are in limestone, so it kind of limits us to the cabs. So we will bring in stuff from like Lubbock and whatnot and have it aged in barrels for us.
Awesome. So what are your favorite wines? You mentioned you're a sweet person, but what are your favorite wines that you offer? Just your own personal favorites.
My personal favorites, it's going to be, so my first favorite is actually not super sweet. It's Illusion. It's our sparkling Sauvignon Blanc. It's coming from Valencia, Spain. We're only 1 in 3 in the whole United States to have a sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, which makes it super unique, but it just tastes really good. So it's really fresh. It's not quite sweet, but it's not going to give you the sandpaper tongue. And those bubbles, of course, you can't be frowning when you're drinking bubbles. And then from there, I love our Pinot Noir and our new Bountiful, which is like a slightly sweet. So it's kind of like the finisher of the meal. So I definitely have a lot of favorites. It just depends on what you're eating or what time of day it is. So I would say Illusion is my top favorite. I do have to say the wine that is named after me, Dolcezza, would be, of course, a favorite. So it's an orange muscat. Can't go wrong. It's nice and sweet. Texas heat. It's perfect pairing.
What about from a customer's perspective? Like, what are your best sellers? What are the ones that customers just come in raving about?
Oh yeah, so that one's going to be Goodnight on the sweet side. So that's a red blend that just has that dark chocolate note. But then on the dry side, I get everyone coming in for our Cabernet Franc, our Royal Reserve. So it's absolutely delicious. It's got that smokiness to it. There's a little blackberry and red plum in there. So people will always come in for bottles of those. We are about to reintroduce our next vintage vintage of Tempranillo. It went really fast last year, so I'm sure the same thing will happen again. You can't go wrong with a Texas Tempranillo. It's everything you would expect from a Texas wine. And then as far as the bubbles go, of course, Rosé Prosecco, we were the first to import it from Italy. So, it's really nice to have that claim to fame. But then also it has more of your grapefruit and berry taste, which is different from your usual like strawberry cherry in rosés. So it makes it very unique. So I think people really come in for those.
Cool. So if a customer wanted to come in and do a tasting, what are the details on how you do tastings? Like fees, hours, do they need reservations, things like that?
As someone who likes to stay organized, I would love for everyone to have reservations, but it is not a requirement. So if you want to come in, we are open 7 days a week. So it's Monday through Thursday, 12 to 5, Fridays and Sundays, 11:30 to 6, and Saturdays, 11 to 7. So you can come in, do a bar top tasting. That will get you a choice between our red tastings, our sweet tasting, and our sparkling and still on the white wine side. So you can choose whichever you'd like. And then that's $25 per person. But it gives you a little bit of everything, that like base knowledge into all of our wines. And then you can come in for glasses, you can come in for bottles. We have charcuterie boards every day of the week. And we offer pizzas Friday through Sunday, and they're absolutely delicious because they go into our wood fire oven, so it just kind of crisps up the crust nice. And then we do dungeon tastings on the weekends. So Friday through Sunday, that's really what brings a lot of people in, is doing a sensory experience. We do black light to almost no light, so you can't see the difference between a white or a rosé or a red. And then we pair it with 5 chocolates and 3 cheeses. So that's $39 a person, and you really get to kind of experience how wine changes or how the food changes based on the wine. So it's fun to play with it. And then in October is when I take over, and that's the Haunted Dungeon. So it becomes one giant escape room. You have to get out to go through your tasting.
Nice. So what other attractions or amenities? I know you have a hotel. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So we just opened the hotel. I believe it's 5 months old now. So really excited. It's called the Bentley Hotel on 290. We want to give you a getaway from the hill country. So all the rooms are themed. We have an Audrey Hepburn suite, 007. We have Marilyn Monroe, the Beatles, Bill Murray, because my dad loves him. So it's all themed, really decked out. It was really fun getting to shop for all the different lamps that go into those rooms. But it's really nice because if you are a 6 Bottle Wine Club member here at the castle, you get 20% off your rooms there, which really works out because it means that you were going to buy those bottles anyway, but now you're getting an extra discount to come stay at the hotel. But it's really fun. During the summer months especially, there's the hot tub, the pool, the cabana bar. So we want to make sure that you get your own little getaway. It's your weekend to kind of come hang out. It's 21 and above, so it is adults only, so that way you can have a weekend away from the kids, and then service animals are welcome.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Tell me about your wine club.
Wine club. So it doesn't cost a join, which is really unique. You don't see that a lot of places nowadays. So it doesn't cost a join. It is just the purchase of 4, 6, or 12 bottles each quarter. So we're not monthly, we're quarterly. So every 3 months or so. In the 4-bottle club, you would get to choose your bottles today. But then after that, we'd put you into either our mixed, red, or sweet section. And that's the perk of the 6 and the 12, is you get to choose and customize your bottles in 6 or 12. And that's also very rare that you see that anywhere else. You get discounts on all of your wines. You get an extra 10% off today. You get 2 free glasses twice a month. You get access to our rooftop, which has little rooms that people can do bottle service. We've had a lot of people go up there for Mother's Day or Valentine's. And then the dungeon rooms that we're currently in. So our dungeon cellars are always open to wine club members to come and enjoy. We've had people play Dungeons and Dragons down here. We've had a couple of celebrations, an engagement party. So it's always really fun to hang out here. And then our wine club parties. I do have to say, from a personal perspective, our wine club parties are the best. We really go all out when it comes to celebrating. We give you food, we give you wine. This next party is our Casino Royale, so people will be gambling to win more wine. So we'll have a little speakeasy down here, so you have to know the password to get in. And then we've done Mardi Gras, we did Pirates. We just have a really good time, and we want the Cheers vibe. That's what my dad was really going for. He wants you to be recognized and feel like you're part of the family. the family's always here, so you'll always see one of us. So we want that vibe at the club party. And so that's why we really curate it to be that family atmosphere.
Cool. We talked a little bit about the hotel, but what about the castle itself? Family friendly, pets allowed, any of those things?
So pets, as long as they're on a leash, I'm happy to see them. I've seen a couple of cats on leash, and that makes me very happy. As far as family friendly, on the weekends, as far as Saturdays go, we have become 21 and older just because things. But as far as Sundays through Fridays, you're more than welcome to bring them. Just hold their hand. Make sure they don't run around and play and go see in the castle.
Okay.
I know it's a castle. It's the adult castle. And then, yes, pets, people, we do want everyone to be welcome. So we hope to have that friendly atmosphere.
And I think I smelled pizza when I came in. What kind of food options do you have?
Yes, so we do our pizzas Friday through Sunday. They go into our wood fire oven, and so it's absolutely delicious. We have a meat lovers, veggies, supreme, cheese if you're like me. We offer charcuterie boards every day of the week. They are amazing. They're on this nice little tree trunk, and you have a couple different options of cheeses and meats. We offer lots of delicious chocolate and some wine chips and some fun little snacks just to kind of keep your appetite going for more wine.
What about maximum group sizes? If you have a group coming in, do you have any maximums on that, or just anybody and everybody?
So anybody and everybody's welcome. If you do have a group that's probably larger than 10, I highly recommend the reservations. But we can hold up to 35 in the dungeon at one time as far as the blacklight tasting. And then it goes to about 50 if you're wanting the whole section. And then if you are bringing a big group, you can always email us or call us. We're happy to accommodate you. We want you to have fun and make sure that everyone gets well fed and lots of wine. And then, yeah, and as few as 2 is always welcome as well. You know, just walk in, have a nice time.
In regards to maybe busier versus slower seasons, what's the best time to visit? What's the best time to come out?
So on my personal bias, I would say October, because then the Haunted Dungeon's going on, and that's a lot of fun. But I would say this is the quieter season right now, which makes it the best time to come out because you see all the Christmas things that come out. So we brought out our mulled wine, which is absolutely delicious when it's freezing outside. And then you're not dealing with as many people. So Sundays are the calmer day. So if you're wanting a little more give, I highly recommend Sundays. And then if you are okay with like a faster pace, Saturdays are a really good way to see like how the castle operates and how we do things.
So I know you talked about the hotel being open recently. Do you have any other plans for future growth or where you might head with things?
We're always planning for the future. So I would say right now, we just want to focus on making sure we can give you the best service at the hotel and at the castle. We do have our production barn, so we want to work more with that and definitely be bringing up more vines. So I think the next thing we're going to do is be planting a little bit. So we're looking forward to some Tempranillo. We're looking forward to some Sauvignon Blanc and kind of working on all of that Texas aspect.
So maybe some estate type wines and things like that?
Absolutely.
All right. So what, in your opinion, would you say is the number one attraction that would make people want to come check out the wine castle?
So I would say choose the castle because we are the experience that you can't get anywhere else. So yes, you can go wine tasting. Yes, you can sit on a back patio. Yes, you can get food somewhere else, but we incorporate everything you might want, and we're actively, wanting the best for you. Like we're not just like, hey, here's your wine, goodbye. We want you to walk away with more knowledge, with fun, and with a great memory. So we really want to embody a good time.
So the castle is a pretty unique wine experience, to say the least. It's the only tasting room of its kind that I've experienced. I think it is a really fun concept to have a themed wine destination. It sets itself apart from an ordinary winery and gives you some fun things to talk about. They really go the extra mile with their themed events as well. I can't wait until next October because I'm going to go to one of those haunted dungeon escape room events. And those wine pickup parties, they do a great job with creating fun and exciting events that will make you want to come back for the event as well as the wine. They do offer a variety of wines from different localities, but they also offer a selection of wines that they produce as well. Chelsea said that her mother, Monique, was the winemaker, and so apparently she and I share similar palates as I enjoyed each of the selections that I was able to try. I bought a bottle of their Royal Reserve. It's Cabernet Franc that they produce, and that's for my wine library for the show. And if you like sangria, trust me, you have to taste their frozen sangria. My wife and I are both addicted to it. And you can even buy this large pouch of it. And so it's got this straw, and it's like an adult Capri Sun. There are all kinds of cool places to sit and hang out indoors and on their outdoor patio that overlooks that new Bentley Hotel while you enjoy your libations. It's an intriguing visit to the Middle Ages as you sip your wine at the 290 Wine Castle. Make sure and check out their website. It's www.290winecastle.com. That's 290winecastle.com. They have a lot of info about their wines, special events, and a place to make reservations. They also have info about the Bentley Hotel and how to reserve your stay there as well. When you go, make sure and tell them you heard about it on this podcast. Well, that ends this chapter, but the show will go on with other fun wine destinations on the way. If you're enjoying the show, please make sure and tell a friend about it. Being a new podcast, it can be really hard to get the word out about the show, and I rely on listeners like you to share it with their friends. Maybe together you can plan your own wine trip to visit some of the destinations you're hearing about on these episodes. Also, if you can, leave me a review. That helps me get found by other podcasts, and it moves me up in the rankings and things like that so other people can find me a little easier. And then lastly, subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified whenever the next episode is posted. Until next time, as always, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all. Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly. Don't forget to also check out the Texas Wine Lover website and their phone app. If you want to plan a trip to the wine destination I talked about in this episode, the site for Texas Wine Lover and their phone app that you can download will really help you organize a trip so you can go see them. You can check out all of the goodness that I got to experience while I was there. But as you're planning your trip, while you're on their website or their app, you can also find out things like accommodations, restaurants, and even some fun events and things that are going on at the wineries, and maybe even find one that you want to experience as part of your wine trip that you never even expected. So check them out. Again, it's txwinelover.com.